Boss man,
What's going on?
how are you?
All right. Had better weekends.
Yeah, I'm keen to get into that.
Yeah. Oh, renos, they will literally kill me.
Well, do you want to start with your beer? Have you got a beer?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't bring a glass though.
That's good.
Because it's probably best that I don't. So I've got here the Alice Springs Brewing Company Centralian Ale. There you go.
Nice.
And what do we got here? 4.2%. My sister is in Alice Springs at the moment. This is what my family's like. You know, when you're like, if you do IT, you know, and all your family says, "Oh, come and fix my computer," right, and that sort of shit. My family, I asked to get let into breweries and get exclusive tours.
Oh, that's totally fair.
And so my sister, she sent me a text earlier this evening, and she said, "Can you get me a tour into the Alice Springs? Do you know anyone from Alice Springs Brewery?" I said, "Yeah." You know, Kyle's a client, and she says, "Can you get me a tour?" And I said, "Oh, I don't really like to encroach on my clients and stretch friendships and that sort of thing." You want to know something funny though? This is not the first time that it's happened in Alice Springs. Literally 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, my brother was in Alice Springs. I'm like, ask the same fucking thing. There you go. Thank you, family.
I think you should have reached out and made it happen, Hendo. What's the point of being the boss if you can't treat the family?
I very much like, I don't know. I think, you know, in this business, we get given a lot of free beer, and I'm very grateful for every single you know, beer that's put in front of me. But I'm also mindful at the same time. You know, a lot of these places are running businesses, and it's fucking hard. And the last thing you need is some sponger coming in over the top, going, "Oh, you know, give us beer," and that sort of thing. I don't think it's very nice or respectful. So I get given a lot of free beer. People want me to try beers and all that sort of stuff. Every time I get it, I'm 100% super grateful for it.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, how I am. And I try to reciprocate wherever possible. If I get a beer, I'll give a beer if I can. And yeah, it's kind of how it works. What do you do?
Yeah, it is a weird thing. I always thought it was weird because I was not from this industry, but it was kind of like when you started, everyone just wanted free beer, and I couldn't really understand why, because in every other job I've ever had, people have to pay for what you do. And this is the one job that I've had where it's really, really expensive to make what we make. But
it is.
Yeah, for some reason, it's kind of expected that people get it for free. So I 100% agree. I think like tours and stuff are nice if people like doing them.
Yeah.
I never, ever ask for free beer. And I always feel a little bit guilty. It's always nice and you have to be grateful, but I do feel, you know, I kind of like, we ask people to send us beer as a bit of a joke, and I always accept it. But yeah, I never expect people to give me free beer if I go to a beer.
No, absolutely not. No. The same with the beer festivals as well. You know, you go to a beer festival and, you know, everyone wants you to try their beer and all that sort of thing. And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, you know, really grateful. And can I pay for it?"
Yeah.
Because festivals especially, you know, there's no money in a beer there, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah. Now give us a review on the beer. What's it like?
So this is the Alice Springs Centralian Ale. That's just a pretty much straight up drinking beer. There's a really nice sort of biscuity, bready, pumpernickel kind of note going on in this beer. It's not particularly hoppy or fruity or juicy or anything like that. I'd probably say it's pretty much more malt driven than it is hop driven. It's got a very firm bitterness though.
Nice.
I would probably have a couple of pints of that easily in a hot Alice Springs summer day.
Very good.
I'll tell my sister to pay for one.
Yeah. Don't ask for a tour. Well, I don't have a beer. I've got water because I am going to get one. I'm working up to it.
Yeah. What's going on?
But I got inspired by some of the people at work who are working out every day, and I went and bought myself a gym. And I just
bought a gym or a gym membership?
No, like a gym for my garage, like a weight set thing.
Oh yeah, cool.
And I literally just did a workout just then, and I'm ruined. And I just can't fathom the idea of having a beer because I just finished.
Yeah.
I can barely move my arms. And I'm kind of exhausted.
I think you should harden up and get a beer.
No, I will. I'm gonna wait until I'm feeling not nauseous, and then I'm gonna get one.
Is this is the last day of the mow, isn't it?
Technically, but I'm gonna keep it for a long time, I think.
Are you? Is this is you now?
100%. I got to grow it for long enough so these sideburns become legit. Like
there's a bit of a gap in the middle there, mate.
There's a gap. Like it's really thick down here, and here it's not so much a gap. It's just not as thick. So maybe I'll just go over it with a little reducing.
Get rate clippers or something.
Work on that over the next couple of weeks, and
why not?
So we've got hopefully Ben from Bridge Road coming on.
Yep.
Because I slid into his DMs during the week, and after he put up the thing about the employee share scheme, and he was a little bit vague about it, but I'm pretty sure he said yes.
Okay.
I gave him the link, so hopefully he'll come on in 5 or so minutes.
Okay.
But you've got some news, don't you? You got
I had a really serious reno fail this weekend. Very, very serious. So I was demolishing my bathroom with a few friends. I actually had both Adam shells there. I'll post a photo on the Facebook group. I've got the photo of both Adam shells. My mate Duncan and his partner Anna, and we were sort of demolishing the bathroom. So we had basically a jackhammer to get the tiles and the old bedding out of that makes the water go down the drain on the floor out, and also a smaller jackhammer to take tiles off the wall. Right, tiles go up to about my height, and I got stuck in with the jackhammer, and a tile shard fell off, hit my foot, and severed an artery. and it was very serious and I was very scared because literally blood was squirting out across the room. There's still blood splatter in the bathroom and all through the apartment. I even got a little bit on the Lexicon half.
Oh, no.
Sort of going out the door. But I think it's wash and wear, so I think it's fine. So it was very scary because literally blood was squirting out of my ankle. I don't know what artery it was, but it was the scary one because of the amount of blood that was coming out. And I was like, I sort of walked out of the bathroom and I said, guys, shit, this is really serious. I'm really seriously bleeding. Get something, let's get some pressure on it. And I'm looking at my mate Duncan, and I sort of started, if you've been in a car accident or something, you go into like a shock sort of thing. And that started to sort of overcome me because I was like, oh fuck, this is really bad. And I said, this is triple O, mate. And he says, you sure? And I said, yeah, let's go. This is fucking serious. So we got onto triple O, and luckily Anna had the pressure fucking full on to my foot, and managed to contain the bleeding really, really well, to the point by the time, so they don't send ambulances anymore when you dial triple O. And so we end up doing a FaceTime call with a clinician, a triple O clinician. And he sort of wanted to have a look at what bleeding was like. And by the time they took the thing off, bleeding was pretty well contained. It was still bleeding, but just not squirting out anymore or anything like that. And they said, look, we're not going to send an ambulance, just take him into the emergency room. So I went into the emergency room and got patched up, and it's only 2 stitches, but you wouldn't know it from the amount of blood that's on the bloody wall in the bathroom. And it was dumb. That shouldn't have happened. We were all geared up on our upper bodies with PPE. We had, safety glasses, gloves, dust masks, and all that sort of stuff. But that day I was wearing shorts and sneakers, and had I been wearing my long pants and my steel caps, this would never have happened. So it was just a stupid lack of PPE. And the thing is about tiles, in the lead up to it, Adzi and Duncan got nicked in the leg and that little blood spots. And I'm just like, that's just comes of the game. When it happened to me, I thought, that's what it was, until I looked down and realized there's just squirting blood everywhere. And the thing is with tiles, when you're breaking them up, that old saying, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a fucking duck. Well, tiles, they look like broken glass and they sound like broken glass. And so here we were just throwing broken glass around the place. It was inevitable that something like that wouldn't happen. And the doctor sort of asked me when I got to the emergency room, she sort of checked in. She said, how do you feel? And I said, disappointed.
Yeah.
She's like, no, it's not what I meant. I went, sorry.
Yeah. How big was the chunk of tile?
I don't know. I was actually looking for it today. I went and cleaned out the bathroom today. I'm feeling great today. I went and did a brewery tour. I saw you yesterday and down the Gold Coast, and I was pretty limpy today. I'm fine. It's great. So it's got 2 stitches, and they're due to come out next Monday. So
no crutches.
No, I actually hired crutches. They're sitting in my garage. It was very scary.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, I don't want to myself or my friends to get seriously hurt from renovating a stupid apartment and that sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure that this sort of thing happens a lot.
I bet.
People getting injured doing home renos. So if you're doing home renos, be safe. Don't cut any corners. You got to be pretty professional as you can about it. I'm a bit of a nut for safety in the brewery, and to sort of have that happen because I didn't wear any PPE or have the right PPE on, it's really dumb. I feel dumb.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lesson number 2 for our audience. Got the lexicon half as the color choice, and wear safety boots.
Wear boots, boots and long pants. No matter how hot it is.
Yeah,
that's how I am in the brewery, though. I never wear shorts in the brewery. Never. Don't care how hot it gets. I just don't always wear long pants in the brewery.
Right. Our brewery gets very hot.
They all get hot.
Yeah.
But one of the most common injuries that you'll see in a brewery is hot water or hot caustic going into a boot from someone who's wearing shorts.
Yeah, true.
Really common.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're okay. I'm just looking at my phone now. I've got the little dots when someone's messaging you.
Yes.
I've got that happening from Bridge Road. So I'm guessing it's either going to be good news or bad news. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think he's getting ready to go.
Oh, sweet. How'd you go in the Indies, mate?
We did okay. I think we got 24 medals.
24
total. We sent quite a bit of beer in there. I think we had I can't actually remember how many golds. I remember how many golds. We had 3 golds, and we got a lot of silvers and a lot of bronzes.
God, your entry fee into the competition must have been phenomenal.
Yeah, we sent a few beers in. We're actually not super happy with the results. I think we sat down yesterday and went through all the beers, and I think actually the judging and the feedback was pretty much on the money. But like some of the beer wasn't that fresh by the time it got judged.
And there was that 1 month delay, and
and I think I just think we could have probably done a little bit better. And we sort of knew that going into it. We're going through a really challenging growth phase. We've got lots and lots going on. So we kind of...
But that's a lot of beers to enter. How do you expect all of those beers? Let's say you entered 30 beers.
No. We didn't enter 30 beers. No, I think we because we entered draft and pack. I should bring it up, actually. I think we only entered about 9 beers.
If you got 24 medals, it means you've entered 24 beers.
That's a good
How do you expect all 24 of those to be fresh? I know you got 5 fucking brew houses.
I better bloody I better fact check this because maybe it wasn't 24. No, let me have a look. Ian posted something in announcements. Where is it? 3 gold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 silver. Yeah, there's a shitload of bronze. Yeah, we did enter quite a few beers.
Yeah, right.
I think we entered a lot of sort of weirder ones, some weirder random ones. Like we entered Ichiban, which is a beer that Toshi brewed, which is like a yuzu goza. It's a really interesting beer that we all really liked. It got gold.
It got gold, yeah, good.
Yeah, beers like that are cool, but it kind of doesn't, like I prefer for the core range to be getting gold medals. But the core range one sort of mostly got silvers. But yeah, I think it was all right. I think it was about right for us. It wasn't our best effort, I feel like.
I got a couple of medals.
Yeah, you got a gold medal.
I got a gold medal, yeah, for the New Zealand Pilsner out of Brownstone down in Melbourne, and also a couple of silvers and bronzes. I think we entered 7 beers, got 7 medals.
Yeah, nice. But when you say you entered 7, did you do pack and keg?
That brewery only kegs, so 7 different beers.
So that's kind of like if we enter 1 beer, we'll enter keg and pack. So you kind of double the amount of entrants.
Yeah. No, I was really happy about that, Matt. Matt, he's just that brewery I train, mentor brewers there is like through an internship program. They sort of come in with no experience, go do a year internship there, and then go out into the big wide brewing world. And I've been doing that since 2013. And yeah, it's good. Matt's done great. He got a gold medal for the IPA as well at the AIBA. So Matt has been the most successful brewer that cycled through there. Probably with the exception of Chris Domagala, who won the AIBA trophy for the Gary Shepherd in 2017, I think it was.
Oh,
2016.
Is that the consistency one?
No, that's the best new exhibitor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
nice.
He got a gold medal and won that.
Awesome.
That was amazing. So that's really good. I've
got Ben on now.
Yeah, you want to chat to him?
Why don't we come back to the indies at the end of the conversation with Ben? Because I've got the list of winners here. There's a lot of good efforts from people. Let's see how this goes. I should get a beer now. I'm feeling like I could probably drink a beer now.
Yeah. There he is. How are you, Ben?
Good guys. How are you? How you doing?
Hey, mate. How are you?
Well, thanks.
Where are you sitting, mate?
Just out on the deck.
That's nice.
Got to put some hops in the show.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Cool.
That's amazing. What hops are you growing there, mate?
They're EKG, just some old dude gave them to me years ago. They grow like massive.
That is cool. Wait, is this at your house or?
Yeah, it's just at the house.
That's so cool.
They're huge.
They are huge.
Yeah, they grow really quickly, which is good. They sort of give us shade. It gets really hot in the summer, so it gives us heaps of shade for the summer, and then they die off when it cools off, and or we cut them down in March when we don't.
Are they hops you can actually use?
Yeah, you can, but we need a shit ton of hops, so
yeah.
Indeed.
Do you have a beer, Ben? I didn't warn you that we normally have a beer.
I just having a night off the booze. I've had a weekend away and chef over for dinner last night, so I've got a free time to
How's that going, mate?
Didn't you guys get a gold medal for that beer?
Yeah, just recently at the Indies. Yeah, it's going really well. It's certainly no Heaps normal valued today at 58 million smackaroos. Yeah, but it's doing really well. It performs everywhere wherever we sell it, people reorder and order in big quantities. So.
I judged a few non-NA beers at the Indies. There were some sensational ones.
Well, this wasn't even a non-alc category, was it? It was just in the pale ale category.
No, they put it in specialized beers. They just put like the AIBAs have non-alc, and then the Indies had the trophy side of things it was in specialty beer. It said so. It was alongside, for the trophy, it was alongside 20 other gold medal beers.
But to get gold, like when the judges taste it, they know it's non-alc.
Yeah, they would be judging it as an alcohol-free beer.
Yeah. It looks bloody good. I haven't had one. I've heard it's the best one you can get.
It's pretty good. Yeah, you'll have to. There's some good ones out there though. Some other good ones.
You were doing some.
Yeah. Two questions at once.
Yeah.
Well, you just said something about Heaps normal before, $58 million or something.
Yeah, there was an article in the Financial Review today. They just raised $8.5 million through an equity raise, just privately, for a inner Sydney tap room and production brewery. And then the line below said the company's now valued at 58 million.
Whoa.
It's normal. It's like, wow. That's huge. Like the market's huge for that beer. And that's the market leader as far as I can tell.
Who are these guys? Do you know them?
I don't know them. I've read about them. I might have met them at some stage. Brick Lane's doing their non-alc, but Brick Lane's pretty much doing the majority of non-alc in Australia. I think Brick Lane, Holgate, ourselves. I'm not sure who else is. I mean, there's a few. Hop Nation released one. Little Black Bang have done one. I think Big Shed maybe in Adelaide.
Brewdog have got a couple of them. I don't know if they're making them in Brisbane. I assume they are.
I think I saw something that they just got some funding. I think they got funding. Did Brewdog get funding, or they just put money? No, they didn't get funding. They just for a pasteurizer. So I assume that'll be to allow them to do their non-alc in Brisbane. That's my guess.
Yeah. Are you doing your own, or are you?
Because I'm feeling left out.
Yeah, no sweat, mate. Are you doing? You producing your own non-alc beer, or you're outsourcing that?
Yeah, no, always. Everything Bridge Road is made at Bridge Road. So.
Yeah, because there was like a few years ago you were doing like hopped soft drinks or something like that.
Yeah, we've got a lemon, lime, and hop bitters.
Yeah,
and then we've got a we haven't done it for years. Hopped cola as well.
Yeah. Did you find that some of your experience in creating those non-alcoholic hopped beers helped you to create your NA beer?
Nah, they're really, really different. Like the NA beer is, there's some fermentation. I remember I talked to you about it before we did it. We had a discussion somewhere.
Yeah. Probably ALBA judging or something like that. Yeah, that's cool, man. And so it's flying off the shelves, yeah?
Yeah, it sells really well.
That's good, man.
I don't know what I missed, but I've got a beer now, so I'm not feeling as left out.
What did you get, mate?
Just the East Coast Haze. I don't have actually much in the fridge at the moment.
Yeah, it's always like that here. I've had site project beers for I reckon a year in my fridge, the blonde and the red from Hop Nation, and I had them last night. They're really good. Their red beers are so red. Yours too, Dan, obviously a red beer, but the buzz, I assume it's a similar base, but it was like, and because it's done in the food, there's a bit of oxidation, which helps the red, I think, rather than going brown, it seems. True. It's like the red light behind Hendo. I was drinking that, like glowing red.
Yeah. They took us on a bit of a tour of their facility there a couple of years ago, and we were like, "Holy shit! How does this beer taste this good?" It was. Have you been in there?
Now they've got the Mornington Peninsula Brewery site now for their production. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, but where they were doing all the sour beers, I don't know if they still are. It was around the corner from their original site, and it was in a warehouse that was used to make like ground up fish. and it like this whole warehouse was like this big cold room that they just rented like a portion of. It completely stunk of like fish scraps and had all these barrels in the back of all this beer that was just tasting amazing. The fooders weren't in there, but all the barrels were in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Mm.
Nothing like a bit of umami
Yeah.
in your beer.
Secret sauce.
Yeah.
Well, we want to chat to you about this employee share scheme thing. And I don't know how much you're happy to share, but you put it on Instagram this week that you guys are implementing that.
Yeah, we sort of made the official announcement to our team on Tuesday night. We had a staff training night and just a bit of a close the brewery and the bar and everything, and had a bit of a staff night after training, and then made the announcement. Most staff knew that it's been a work in progress for a long time, so I've been keeping them updated, but we've sort of finally had a package we were ready to share with them, and announce the rollout and the schedule of everything like that. And after we did that, we sort of made the public announcement about it as well.
How does it work?
The employee share scheme.
Yeah.
So basically, we're issuing normal shares in the company to employees. We basically the rules around those shares and how they can be traded and how we issue them are all up to myself and Maria, so we can sort of control them in any way we want. Mm-hmm. But the idea behind it is to give back to the team that work for us, and also drive the right kind of culture within the business to make sure everyone feels like an owner of the business and makes decisions based on that as their number one priority. And the mechanism we had to kick it off was to basically, we wanted to make those shares available to people who'd done not long service, but longer than just a year. So anyone that's worked 24 months for Brewdog Brewers before or by June 30 last year would be eligible for a $5,000 gift. So a share of so a gift of $5,000 worth of shares, as well as a cash bonus to allow them to. Sorry, I think I've got a kid coming. At home with the kids, and something happens. So just one moment.
Sounds like you, Dan. What if they're not throwing up?
I don't have my kids here, but I just went out to my dog and he was eating my shirt and he ripped the collar off the back of my shirt. He goes through the dirty clothes and gets socks and shirts and stuff.
No wonder like your dog likes humping everything if it rolls around the dirty clothes all the time. All them pheromones going on.
He just likes socks. I don't know if every dog is like that, but he definitely likes that for whatever reason. And I just heard my car beep, so I don't know if someone's trying to steal my car or if someone else has got the same sort of beep, but...
The Volvo?
There we go. No, the Chinese LDV van.
Oh. Is that your daily driver?
It is, yeah. And if you're considering buying one, then probably don't.
I've heard some very mixed reviews about those Chinese vans.
Yeah, well, they're
cheap as shit, though.
They are cheap as shit. It's got my something like 27 grand brand new, and it's got everything. It's like a spaceship, 7-seater. But it's just a dud. It's a dud car. But
How's it a dud?
Oh, just everything's wrong with it. Nothing works on it. It's a piece of junk. But we've got LDV vans that we use for delivery. We've got about 5 of them, and they've all been pretty good. And they're the ones that actually do all the work. Like mine just kind of drives me around. Our vans are driving 1.5 tons of beer around 5 days a week. And they've actually held up all right.
There you go.
Do you when you're at Stone and Wood, because they had the employee share scheme.
That's right, yes.
My understanding of the way their one worked was staff effectively got a loan from the company to buy.
That is correct.
Shares.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. We just got a Christmas tree tonight, so the youngest is struggling to comprehend getting to sleep with a Christmas tree outside.
Well, it's only like 25 days until Santa comes, mate. So that's important.
They're onto it. I might have to go again if he comes out, but we'll see what happens.
No worries. I was just saying to Hendo, my understanding of the way the Stone and Wood one worked is you didn't just get given shares, you got given kind of a loan to buy shares in the company.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't hear the full mechanism of that, and you sort of had that loan, and I don't know how that value worked, but you sort of paid it back over time. Jamie did explain it to me when I was first looking at it.
No,
it was a bit too complex for me.
How it worked, right, was after 12 months of being a permanent there, you were, and so what they would do is once a year they would get an independent valuer to value the business.
Yep.
And then after your first year and every subsequent year after that, you were loaned $10,000 to buy at that market value. Usually happen in sort of February of every year and that sort of thing. And it was an interest-free loan. And then when you got to your fifth year, you were given an additional $50,000 loan, right? So you couldn't sell your shares or anything like that. You either opted in or just weren't part of it. And then if you left the business, you were forced to sell your shares back to the business. The loan was repaid and you kept the difference.
Yeah. So how was that? You got the loan, but how did you pay down that loan? That's a bit I didn't understand, because you didn't actually get 10,000 in value. You had the opportunity to pay that loan off and buy the share.
No, not to my understanding. It was just a loan held in perpetuity.
So you're not paying the principal or the interest on the loan. You're just getting.
No, that's right. It was basically how it worked was that your contribution to the business gave you the benefit of the increase in the share price, which if you stayed, that's your nest egg building over time, and that's what the three founders wanted. They wanted their staff to stay for a long period of time, build a nest egg for themselves, and have a nice, happy retirement. But if you left, then you had to sell your shares back. You got your loan was repaid. You got the profit, and that was basically your thanks for making contribution.
You didn't get the 10,000. If you left the next day, you didn't get $10,000. You got the increase in value of that share.
Correct.
On the next year, if it increased. Okay.
Correct.
But then are you also taking the risk on there? Like what if the business goes out of business, or what if the share price goes down?
I guess if it's a bonus on top of your salary and not negotiating your salary, there's no risk. It's just
It was the same for everybody in the business. Everybody got the same $10,000. Didn't matter what job you did. Didn't matter what your salary was. That was what you got. And so it was pretty equitable in that sense. When I was privy to some of the meetings there, the business, was valued in 2011, 2012 or something like for, $2 or $3. And when I was there, it was like $18 a share. Who knows what it was when it ultimately sold.
But I think the way they value them for those purposes is much lower than the actual value. Because I talked to someone about setting up a scheme like that, and they kind of have a valuation for the purpose of the employee share scheme that bears no resemblance to the actual valuation of the business.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a method in which they independently valued the business every year.
But the assumption, and what was the outcome when the business did sold and you held? So I understand. So if you got $10,000 worth of shares and you left the next year and that share value had increased to $11,000, you got $1,000 bonus.
Correct.
Basically.
Yeah.
What was the outcome if the company sold? Presumably you would get the full $11,000, not just the $1,000 increase.
You still had a loan that needed to be repaid.
You'd have to pay the 10 back, but you'd get a much more than $1,000 because you would get the actual valuation, not the accountant's valuation.
Yes,
I assume. So I think that there would have been people if they started working with Stone,
that $10,000 isn't just dollars; it's a number of shares, and then the sale price of those number of shares. If it was $100,000, then you get to keep 90, for example.
No, it was actually dollars.
Oh, it wasn't shares; it was dollars.
No, it was no matter who you were, what you did in the business. It was $10,000 per year, and then $50,000 on year 5.
Okay.
But it would have been $10,000 value worth of shares. So like if one.
No, I think Hendo is saying it's dollars, not value of shares.
Correct. Yeah, $10,000 and you use that money to buy the appropriate number of $10,000 worth of shares at that current price.
Right.
Okay,
right.
yeah. So you do hold the shares, yeah.
Yeah.
So you hold the
then the
shares,
mechanism would
you
be
pay back the 10 grand, but you get
Yes.
you get say you know they valued the company at $1,000 a share, you get 10 of them. But then if you're there for 10 years and they actually sell the business and it sells for a much bigger multiple than the accountants valued it at, then you might. I mean, I'm guessing you're doing quite well.
There were a lot of the crew that had been there for multiple years, probably walked away being millionaires easily after that deal. Some of those, some of the people have been there for 7 or 8, odd years and that sort of thing, and they were getting $10,000 worth of shares at $2.50 a share. By the time I was there in sort of 2017, it was $17, $18 a share. So you think about the value of those, it's pretty amazing. There's a real big plug there for Bridge Road.
There is. We got
it's amazing.
the logo right there.
Do you know what I miss about being in Queensland, Ben? I miss about not.
Hendo?
What's that, mate?
Most things.
No, pints of beachy pale, mate.
Well, you can find it in Queensland in some places.
Yeah, on tap though.
Yeah. I can hit up. Sorry. Trying to get the Christmas.
Look at that Christmas tree. That's amazing.
Nice.
That's today's effort.
Solid.
Nice work, mate.
I got popcorn delivered by an elf.
Wow. You got everything. So with your, and just, you can tell me if I'm asking a question you don't want to answer. Well, he obviously definitely didn't want to answer that one. He left.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. So do you guys own all of the business currently? Is that?
Apart from the roughly 5% we just gave away, yes.
Right. So that was my question. So you're giving away your own shares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the difference with our mechanism is there's no loan. We're gifting $5,000 worth of shares, and plus some cash bonus to allow people to pay for the tax implication of that. So we just sort of picked a number in the middle because obviously people are earning different salaries and some people have some pressures. If we give them $5,000 in shares, that gets added to their tax return because it's added as income, even if they don't get income. And we could be giving someone a $1,500 tax bill for as a gift that they have to find $1,500 at tax return time. So we made sure we covered that part off. And just like Hendo was talking about with the valuation, we have an independent value of the business, and that's reviewed annually. It's based a lot around profitability. And then people's shares will be adjusted accordingly. And just like with Stone and Wood, was if you were to leave the business, we would buy the shares back at that value or at the previous fin year's value. And then that'd be the end of it. They couldn't sell them to anyone else. They'd have to sell them back to the company, or we could approve them for them to be sold internally to other staff members if we saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what was your motivation for setting up an employee share program?
I think a big part of it was just about talking about the driving the right culture within the business and making sure we were living the culture. And then, it's a small business that's grown up over time. So most of the people that work there, it's slowly getting bigger. I think we've got 40 something employees now, but most of those people are friends, personal friends, and they're working hard within the business and they don't have any equity in the business. So it's a way of, I guess, recognizing the efforts that they put in and, giving the opportunity to have ownership and be part of the business's success. I guess it kind of makes sense. I think otherwise you sort of run the risk of, having talented people who might want to do something for themselves, and you risk losing some really good staff, I guess, and trying to give them the opportunity to have that ownership and responsibility and all those things that go with owning a business. Reward as well in terms of increased share value. We also have the opportunity that those normal shareholders can get paid dividends when we decide business is going to award dividends. Me as a shareholder would I'd access dividends, but so would anyone else who owns shares as well. So there's not just that you get a nest egg when you cash out. There's some ongoing reward for performance from the company perspective. And
are the staff, if for example a dividend is paid, are they able to roll those dividends into more shares in the business?
We'd sort of decide that as we go along. So we want to see that it's driving the behaviours we want. So the reason, I talked about the reasons we did it. So we want to take some time and see how that plays out. If it's too insignificant for people, if it's not driving enough of the behaviour, or if it is doing really well, we'll just sort of find the right balance. We have a structure that allows people to invest any bonus pool they might have. So, if they have a KPI bonus pool. Hey guys, can you do it in Lily's room at the moment? So there's an opportunity for anyone who has a bonus structure in their salary with KPIs to be met, that they can invest up to 50% of that bonus back into shares. That's standing offer at the moment. And then we'll monitor, we have some targets around increasing employee share ownership in the business, and we'll see how that's tracking, because obviously we'll have people take it up, we'll have people leave, and we'll have more and more staff members hitting that 2-year anniversary, that 24-month anniversary. So we just need to, we've modeled it out, but it could go anyway. So we just can watch how that happens and then decide from there. Spend that dividend back in, or.
Did you just back on the point about sort of why you did it? Did you have staff kind of asking about this, or did you? I know you're not the first brewer to do it. So did you just kind of look at other breweries and think that that's kind of how they'd achieve their culture type thing, or did you have staff that were saying, "I want shares"?
No, I don't think so. Maybe we had some management staff looking to buy into the company, I guess, but not. I wouldn't say it was something that was ever much of a conversation. There were some management staff that showed interest in wanting to invest in the business. But yeah, I honestly can say it's through working on that culture front and seeing when you have a good culture, that's when any business I think thrives, and that just seemed to be the most in line with our culture. It seemed to be the way to go forward with backing up what we say our culture is, and being true to our employees. And I think also the way we put ourselves out there as a business as well, it backs up our values as a business.
You got boneheaded by the boy. Hey, what sort of you mentioned culture a lot and that sort of thing. Are you able to share sort of what sort of specific cultural outcomes you're trying to achieve, or are you just willing to just let it evolve and become its own thing?
We have like documented culture policy at the brewery that we've probably revamped a little bit in the last few years, but when we set about I guess not restructuring but structuring the business about between 5 and 10 years ago, and we brought a CEO on to assist in sort of a lot of the business was reliant on myself or my wife Maria, and we wanted to structure the business a little bit differently and have people take on responsibility.
Did you say a COO or a CEO?
CEO.
Right.
And the first thing he wanted to do was document our culture, because it seemed we had some consultants come in to learn about a culture, and they said, well, actually you have a great culture here, and we just wanted to document that, so we had some reference points. At the time I wouldn't have known what business culture was. We just worked and did what we did, and that was our culture, but it's nothing that we ever discussed. We just knew what was the right thing to do and went about it and did what we thought was the right thing. But yeah, we have a culture document. We have it up around the brewery and the workplace. Sure, it's only a bit of paper, but it gives us a reference point. When we induct staff, we talk about culture, talk about the history of the business and how it came to be. We put a lot of emphasis on quality, that can go, quality in service for the front of house or quality in the product we make, and that our decisions are driven through that. rather than, I don't know, sure, there's financial drivers as part of decision making, but quality comes first in any of those decisions. We talk about family and independence, and then we sort of have a bit in there that's sort of like keeping it real in terms of craft. Like it's hard to quantify, but doing things that make sense from our own craft perspective, rather than jumping at trends or making things that aren't products we really believe in and get behind ourselves, even though it might be a high, fast-selling category or something that, you know, is seen as, you know, there's a big business opportunity to do this. Does that really line up with what we think Bridge Road is? And, you know, does that have what we see as the essence of craft brewing at its heart, to make sure we're making decisions that are driven by that, rather than pure business decisions. Sure, we all go to work to make money and has successful businesses, but for us, I guess, you know, making sure we stay true to that craft side of things is really important.
Yeah. I got some questions about that too, but just back on this share scheme. So can staff members sell their shares at any time? Did you mention that, like, potentially to other staff, or?
No, it's more about the strategy we've got at the moment is you retain those shares and they increase in value, hopefully, because the business is performing well.
Yeah.
You can get dividends, and then when you do exit the business, there's an option there that the business would have first option to buy them back, but we would also approve or have the ability to approve or deny you selling them on to another staff member.
Right.
But I don't envisage, you know, I don't think we'd want to see staff trading them amongst themselves. I don't think
the reason I asked that is, I don't know if I'm thinking about this backwards, but anytime I sort of thought about the Stone and Wood one, it seemed like in a way it incentivizes people to stay because the value of the shares is going up, but in another way it incentivizes people to leave because when they leave they get a big payout.
Yeah, so I guess that's there. The big danger that I see is, you know, if people see their nest egg's grown and they see, they feel that they can see the future doesn't look so bright, it might be a good opportunity to leave the business and take that big payout before the value drops away. And we do have some measures in place around that. You know, if someone's participating in a financial year, that their share value will be at the end of the financial year in which they participated in. So, you know, that if the share value is going to drop off and they're leaving because of that, you would hope that would never be the case, that they would leave with that value rather than the booming year that was previous to that.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You got another question, Hendo?
No, you're far away, mate.
So with the 5% you mentioned, am I correct in the way this works is you kind of go from 100% to 95%, and that 5% kind of goes into a pool, and then you just decide, you know, to put some policies into place for distributing those as you see fit. So you're not getting rid of the 5% instantly. You've just got a pool there that you can draw on with your policies and rules, and then if you ever run out of 5%, you can bump it up to 6 or 7% or whatnot.
Yeah, so it will be pretty much close to 5% from when this rolls out.
Right.
The shares get issued in January or something like that for the people who, it's optional, obviously. You don't have to take them. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't, but there's you know, people need to sign up to be part of it.
Yeah.
But the aim is to grow that 5%. Sure, we can bring it up and down, in the way that we have total control over that. But there's not just a 5% pool. So we already have plans in place to grow that 5% next year, because it's going to be around about 5% now. So that means next year we'll have other staff members coming up to their 2-year anniversary. So they will be gifted 5,000, not from the 5% on top of that. And there's another sort of a bonus structure in place for staff. I mentioned before, some staff have the opportunity to use their bonus to buy into the share scheme. Those who don't have that structure in their work contract will be gifted $1,000 in shares annually. So they'll get $1,000 bonus, which is valued in company shares going forward. So it gives them, an increasing value year on year, a little bit like what Hendo was talking about before. But it gives them the opportunity because other staff will be given that opportunity through performance. They'll get it more through longevity.
Okay. So
I like how you gifted the shares instead of like being loaned money to buy the shares.
Yeah, I guess there's lots of ways, we could have looked at it, and it was quite a hard process to look at other models and just try something that we were comfortable with and something that we think fits.
Mm.
And you're happy to give up that amount of equity just because you think the kind of either the staff deserve it, or you think it'll be better, for the brand and the culture?
I mean, there's heaps of ways to look at it. The staff do deserve it. Hopefully it drives the right culture. Look, if it works out, I'll be better off for it as well. If you want to drill down to, I don't think, it's like, if you invest in some new equipment, do you feel like that's a good idea? And you're like, yeah, of course, because we can make more beer. And if we make more beer, we're more profitable. I don't see this any different to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think about, sorry, mate, you go.
Oh, one thing I was going to say is one of the things we've struggled with is I've had some chats to some consultants about helping with this kind of thing before. But we don't own 100% of the business. We're not even close. Between the three of us, I think we're only just over 50%.
Yep.
So for us to give up equity, we would have to be going back to all investors, and we can do it because we have control of the company, but we're essentially going back to all of our investors and saying, we're going to dilute all of your holdings by a minuscule amount.
Yeah.
But we're going to take money from investors, equity from investors, and pass them on to staff. So I'm sure we could do it, but it's a bit of a harder sell than kind of, if you've got all of it and you're giving up, and you can just make the decision to just give up a bit of your own equity.
Yep. Yeah, it's sort of the benefit of, the model of business we have, which is a pretty slow growth business. We're 16 years old now. But yeah, just being able to hold control of the business and not be, I'm sure it can be great answering to investors because, they drive you to do well, but we haven't had to deal with that. So
yeah.
Hopefully we're making the right decisions though, I guess is the.
What do you think about like breweries like New Belgium and that sort of thing who went 100% ESOP?
I don't know enough about how they did it and what they did. The only example I know of that went that way or is going that way was in Australia. It was an Australian company I only learned about a week or two ago. And they had a scheme where they, it's a different scheme again, because these can be any way you want it. So basically if you work there, you gain a share of the business. And the aim is that the business will be 100% employee owned. At the moment, they have a model where if you work there, you're a shareholder in the business. If you leave, you're not a shareholder in the business. And the return you get is the dividend. You don't get share value. You just are an employee there and you get a shared benefit. And the way they were running it at the moment was 25% of profits were divided amongst the shareholders of the business. And I think another 25% of profit was used to buy the business for there was a trust that held the shares. And the other 25% of profit was used to buy the business back off the founders of the business. So the founders are leveraging themselves out like New Belgium. But each year there's a percentage of profit that goes into dividend or returns for the employees who are owners of the business. And then the other part, and the owners of the business are treated as employees as well. But then they get this other portion that slowly pays them back at the value of the business. I don't know the mechanism, but I assume that as a business grows and is successful, the value also goes up. So there's revenue in there, rightly so, for the founders of the business to do extremely well out of it. But their plan is to keep going down that track until the business is 100% employee owned. So that means the founders are being paid out, by the trust, and then people that work there will all share in the profitability of the business over time. I thought that's a pretty brave model. Very different business. It was it's a really different kind of. They're not a manufacturing business, so quite different to a brewery in fast-moving consumer goods and complexities.
And it's potentially problematic too, because you don't really necessarily want the founders to be cashing out their shares. You kind of want them. I mean, unless they're kind of getting to the end of their run.
Well, no, I think they saw the strength in the strength of this was that sure, the founders can be there and advise them, but they just want to be employees as well. But it's the employees that have the power and of the business in which they work. I'm sure as those things get...
Because New Belgium, like the employees clearly didn't decide to sell that business, right? Like the control of the business must still be like who made those decisions? Yeah,
I don't know enough about how it all worked, but I think maybe I thought there was something. It was definitely employee owned, and the business's performance forced the sale of the business, as far as I understand it. So
I guess there's still
that was the only way. Otherwise,
kind of
they all sunk with the ship.
Right. I was actually kind of going down type thing.
That's how. I don't know the details. I have to look into it, but that was in the back of my mind as and who knows, that could happen in a normal company or it could happen in. I think it's easy to say, there was a company that was employee share owned and they sold. The business failed because there's a number of reasons why a business failed. It could have failed under a single owner rather than...
Oh, yeah, no, my point wasn't that the employee ownership caused the failure. My point was more that the employee ownership doesn't necessarily mean control.
Yeah. I can't imagine how they structured decision-making in a business like that, except that, I guess it's how it's done in businesses where a board of directors are making decisions for the business, and then you have your structure of hierarchy under that, and that's how business runs. So I've never been part of that realm, and I don't understand how it works. So
I'd be interested in knowing because with the normal company, your shareholding dictates whether you can be a director or employ a director.
Yep.
And even if employees own 100%, you're still not going to have equal shareholding across all employees. So you're going to have some.
But a share would be worth a vote. So when decisions were made, but I doubt any one person had the controlling share. Maybe I'm wrong, but in that business, where their vote swung everything. But I don't know how they gain shares or how that all works.
Yeah. And what are you excited about now that you've done this?
I think I'm just genuinely excited in seeing employees realise the ownership in the business and see them driven to make decisions like it's their own thing, like the piece of equipment they're using is something they own. We have a really good team of people that do the right thing 99.9% of the time. But I really, anyone knows the owner of a business. They say no one can do it as well as the owner of a business. So I don't want them to not be sleeping at night, but it's, hopefully they take on a bit of that, that business ownership, that when you go home, you might have a think about, what you've done today and what's still in the tank, and should I go in and check the temperature because I wasn't sure about something like that, rather than, here our production team, half of them finish at 3 p.m. Rather than 3 p.m. I'm checked out. I'm not thinking about anything until I walk through the door tomorrow. So I think I'm excited about people like that. People taking on that I guess mantle, or that just wearing that ownership hat. There was with one of our sales reps the other day. We had this call and discussed the employee share plan because they couldn't be with us when we launched it at the venue. So the interstate shareholders and one of them asked, "Hey, how can I sell this? Like, does it work for me in terms of sales when I go in to sell beer? How do I talk to people about this employee share scheme?" And could it help me get an edge in a sale? And I said to him, well, you can just go into the bottle shop or the bar and say, hey, my name's John Doe, and I'm one of the owners of Brewdog Brewers. That's what I want people to think, and they're welcome to say that because they are one of the owners, and that might bring up a really interesting conversation and might make them a sale. Hopefully, it makes them a sale, but hopefully they do feel like they're one of the owners, and I think that'd be a nice thing to say, when you go in to introduce yourself, rather than I'm the sales rep, and say I'm one of the owners for Brewdog Brewers. And my job is selling beer,
Yeah.
And give
What
you a bit
about
of
from
an edge
the
with staff too, just from people wanting to work there, but not just not wanting to leave, but also
wanting to
come
attracting
there.
staff.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be some change in perception from consumers as well?
I guess it depends how many consumers learn about it, and that will depend on how well we tell the story. But yeah, I'm sure people who already are consumers of Brewdog will really get behind it. We've put out a media release and some beer media's picked it up. So I imagine news within the bubble that we live in will spread quickly and people will know about this before long. It's just the question of how we can, if we feel we need to use this as a marketing piece, how we can communicate that to a broader audience outside of the bubble. Because before, things that happen in craft beer spread pretty well. I hope Crafty Pint would do something. I don't know, Brews News are going to ask some questions about it. So within the industry, anyone that's got their finger on the pulse will know about it. And then, craft beer consumers that engage at that level will find out about it and hopefully find it as a value they align with or an idea they align with. The real challenge would be, most people outside of the bubble have never heard of Brewdog Brewers. So they've got to hear of us and then find out that we're employee owned. So I'm not naive about how small we are and how small our reach is.
It's good. It's positive
Nice.
news, mate.
Yeah, very cool. Before you go, we've got a question. We've got a Facebook group with 12 members, and we've asked them if they want to ask you a question, and they've asked this. And I've never been to your brewery, so hopefully this makes sense to you. This question's from Chris Wood. He's got a serious question and a not so serious question. The serious question is, I'd love to know more about the old brewing system, in brackets, the shed one. Where did you get it from? How did it go? Do you still have it? Was it tricky to use in comparison to the new setup? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so where did I get it? So I started the brewery in 2005, and in the old shed was, we had a 100 square meter shed and had a brew house and a bar and a little bottling line in that shed with a small garden out the front, like a garage brewery, I guess, but commercial. And that was a 10 hex system. And I purchased that from a brewery that had opened and closed in Penola in South Australia. It was called Lawrence Victor Estate. So I purchased it in 2004 and then spent a year commissioning it. I was 24 when I was commissioning it. So it took me a year. I was a plumber and electrician and trying to build a brewery.
Is that the old wooden clad one?
Yeah, that's the one. And then we had that running for a year at that location, and then we moved to our current location. And I'm going to say we ran it for another 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer than that same system, and then expanded with, we had a flip-top lid, fermenters, and then we got some uni tanks that were double capacity, so 25 heck uni tanks. And then we upgraded to the brew kit we have now, which is a 25 heck system. I then sold that equipment. So that came to Penola secondhand from somewhere in New Zealand. And some of the tanks still had like rum and Coke in them and stuff. It had some random. So they'd imported the tanks full of rum and Coke, and then they'd sat in Penola, and then they came to us. And I'm like, what's in this tank? And it was like some Kiwi rum and Coke or something. It was random. And then we sold that equipment on to New England Brewery in Urella in New South Wales.
Yeah.
And I went and did the first brew with them at that brewery. We did a dark beer. And And they just got rid of the last tank from that system to another. If you look on their Insta feed, they did a post about it 2 weeks ago. That stainless has done so many liters of beer. I couldn't imagine all of New England stuff. You know, at least 5 years of Bridge Road. You know, smashing it out of that equipment. So does that answer all the question where it went?
I love it when you get some history in the equipment when it goes from place to place and that sort of thing. Oh, here we go.
Do you know where it started originally? How old it was?
I don't know where in New Zealand it came from. It was like converted dairy equipment. I think there was someone doing like actually making brewing equipment in New Zealand out of dairy equipment.
Wow.
So they said here on their Instagram, last week we said goodbye to our last single batch open top fermenter. The ex-Bridge Road Brewers, then to Uralla, we're pumped that the fermenter will be used by Glengarry Distillery in Glen Innes to ferment wash at the distillery. Check the gins these guys make and drop into the distillery.
There you go.
Very cool.
So I don't know if they've still got the brew kit, but yeah, that was one of the fermenters.
All right, and the last piece of that question, was it tricky to use in comparison to the new setup?
Oh, no, you just need a bit more muscle. It's all the same. You had to mash in by hand.
Yeah.
You had to put duct tape in the mash tun every day. There was a few gaps in it. So fresh duct tape each day before mashing or each night as you set up. It was for those that know the technical ins and outs of brewing, there was no hot liquor tank. There was a timer system, like a dial with pins in it. You set the actual time and the time you wanted the 6 elements in the kettle to turn on and to turn off. And so you'd fill the kettle with cold water, set the timer, go to bed and pray that you got it right. In the morning, you would mash in out of the kettle. So have your strike water temp in the kettle, mash in, then as soon as you finish mashing in, you top up the kettle, put the elements on full and get the sparge water up to about 80 degrees. And then I had an insulated tank. So the hot liquor tank was insulated. So pump all that water into the HLT. And then as soon as that was done, you would have already started recircling the mash tun. And then you would transfer the wort into the kettle as soon as you got the hot liquor out. And then you would sparge from the hot liquor tank back over the top of the mash. So yeah, I guess it was tricky, but you know,
it sounds very similar to what we do at the TAFE brewery over at the Queensland Brew Lab. They don't have a hot liquor tank there.
Yep,
and that's exactly what we do. We heat the strike liquor in the kettle, transfer some across, top it up, heat it again. We'll transfer some off for sparge, and then the rest will be used to hot stairs the wort line.
Yep, same deal.
A hot liquor tank.
Yeah. You do need a hot liquor tank.
Of course you do. The bigger the better.
We just got a second HLT that we're commissioning at the moment.
I don't think any brewer would complain for having a larger hot liquor tank than the one that they've currently got.
Yeah, we've got a 40 hect one, and we've just got another 30 hect to supplement the 40 hect.
Nice. And the second part, the not so serious part, was what was the first beer you ever drank? How old were you? You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. And what did you think of it?
I don't know what my first. I won't tell you too much, but I was first drunk when I was 11.
Oh,
bloody hell!
Yeah. I don't think I know what the first beer I drank was. I remember parties. I remember drinking whatever was cheapest when I was probably 16 or so, and probably not enjoying those beers at all. So there would have been a mix of Melbourne Bitter, VB, and that's probably about it. And the trying different beers would be trying each of those beers in King Brown versus Stubby versus Can. Yeah, and definitely I've had that conversation many times before. I don't recall. I haven't met anyone who said, "Oh, the first mainstream lager I had when I was 15 or 16 was an amazing flavor experience." It's kind of like something that you learn to love. So that's my honest answer to that.
I had a pretty good first beer. I think it was my first beer. We went down on holidays down to somewhere around Jindabyne or something in New South Wales. And I think I was like 14 or 15. I remember lying out on the grass and Dad gave us a beer. It was a Carlton Cold. And I just thought it was the coolest. I think I hadn't drunk beer like with my friends or anything. And I just thought it was the coolest thing to be drinking a beer with Dad. So it was a good experience. But
And then you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't think I actually liked the taste of the liquid, but I kind of enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, you learned to love it.
Yeah.
That reminds me, yeah, definitely Carlton Cold and Harn Ice.
Harn Ice, yeah.
I remember.
Oh,
that
yeah.
too.
God, I used to give you such a headache.
What was your first beer, Hendo?
BB.
Yeah.
So I started drinking beer when I was in university. I lived on campus at the college, Teachers College at Macravat, Griffith University. And I didn't drink beer. I drank West Coast coolers.
Oh, wow.
And
you only started drinking at uni?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the corridor that I was living in on the college there was a very blokey corridor. And then we did this mystery bus tour thing up to the Sunshine Coast as part of an O-week thing or something mid-semester or something like that. And one of the RA of the corridor, and I was drinking West Coast cooler, and he takes the West Coast cooler out of my hand, puts a VB stubby in my hand and said, he goes, "You're drinking this from now on." And that's how I started drinking beer.
And did you like it?
Didn't have a choice.
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I was just like, you'll like it. You'll shut up and you'll like it.
Yeah. I remember liking, before we got into craft beer, I remember liking 4X Gold. Like we'd take the boat out and we'd drink, because it's only mid-strength, you'd kind of be able to drink most of the day. And I remember enjoying that. I don't know if I like the flavor. I think, you know, you just kind of enjoy the moment, or having a 4X Gold at the cricket.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that you started drinking at uni. I remember celebrating my 18th birthday at a pub that I've been drinking at for 2 years, and I was surprised that it was actually my birthday.
Yeah. I was. I tried to be a good boy when I was a teenager, and before I went to uni, I drank a bit of bourbon before I started at university, and that did not end well.
Yeah, I can imagine. You probably don't drink
$20 bottle of blackjack bourbon. No, remember that first time that you get really hammered, you get blackout drunk? Right, that was bourbon for me, and it took a very, very long time for me to enjoy bourbon again.
Mine
there needs to be some.
It was like $16 a bottle or something.
Educational class at high school where they teach you moderation or something like that.
Oh, look, you know, that's a whole different subject. It's like, you know, like in Europe, I mean, you just spent, you know, a year in Europe and that sort of thing. Drinking culture is very, very different there. You know, it's sort of like, I think here it's because when you're underage, it's taboo. And so therefore it's a reverse psychology. You know, kids want to drink alcohol because it is taboo. Yeah. And then when they finally become, oh, you're legal, they cut sick, you know.
You go crazy. I think there's a lot to be said with the European culture of allowing, not only is it not taboo, you're allowing youth to drink under supervision. So my youth was, if you wanted to drink, you had to sneak out and drink in the park, and you drank as much as you could in a short amount of time and ended up like you're talking about. And then my experience in Europe working in bars many years ago was those kids that age just came to the pub, and if they had too much and started being a bit of a dickhead, then they'd quickly be told, hey, you need to calm down and you're not getting another beer, you'll have this. So that drinking was done under supervision of, like we supervise adults in Australia, you know, RSA is the onus is on the bartender rather than the person who's drinking too much, even though they're a fully grown adult. I think there's a lot to be said about allowing that to happen in a place where someone's looking after you, rather than in the park, you know, where no one is controlling what you're doing.
I'm not looking forward to having to deal with this. My kid's about to turn 14.
Move to Austria.
Awesome. All right, that was great. Cheers for that.
Worries.
Oh, wait, where can we get the I want to try that alcohol-free beer. Where's the best place to get that in Queensland?
Maybe maybe hit me up on Insta and I'll hit up. Or if you look up Bridge Road Queensland on Insta, and give him a question, and he'll tell you where to find it.
Do you sell it on your site? I'll just buy it.
Yeah, we sell it on our site, and there's some Dan stores that stock it in Queensland as well. We send it up there. Plenty of independent stores should have it, and I saw an order. Sometimes I see orders come through, and I saw an order for some going to the Coles DC in Brisbane. So there's some.
Yeah, right. That's a first choice Liquorland or something.
Yeah.
Beauty Sellers.
Yep.
Nice. I'll get one of the reps to pick me up some. I'm keen to try it.
Yep. Yeah, it's good. I actually did a mountain bike photo shoot this morning, so I had my first free time before 9 a.m.
Nice.
That's the way. Awesome, mate. Thanks heaps for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it. Eh? Thanks for sharing your story as well.
Yeah.
No worries. Sorry, I haven't seen your podcast before.
You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Boss and the Brewer.
Yep.
If you like memes and shit posting.
Yeah, there's not much quality in there. I don't know if I'd recommend joining.
You can always leave.
So is it all through? Is this all running through Facebook? Is that where
No. You can get the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, everywhere. YouTube
Google Podcasts, YouTube. We're on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
I'll check me out.
Yeah.
Check you out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right, thanks for your time. I look forward to seeing one or both of you for a beer at some time. I've been stuck in this for a long time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Looking forward to it, mate.
Yep.
Sounds good. And best of luck with the employee share stuff. I hope it works out the way you hope.
Yeah. Stay tuned. If it all goes pear-shaped, you probably won't know about it. But hopefully if you see some more news about how we roll it out further, and and hopefully we can share, hopefully we're learning something, and I'm sure other businesses, as you mentioned, Dan, you've thought about this model before. Hopefully there's some learnings that we can share with other businesses to do the same.
100%. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cheers, Ben.
Cool. Have a good night, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Hey, Hendo. Wait, what have I just done?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
I think I pressed report. I better not report anything.
Don't report him.
No.
You're still recording.
Yeah. No, I was just going to make sure you didn't leave as well, but
yeah.
Do you want to go through some other topics, or that's pretty decent for an episode, isn't it?
That's pretty decent. I like it. We start with a little bit of banter, not going too long, and go on to the guests and that, and it works out pretty good. Nice.
Well, we had a couple of other topics, but we can save them for next week, and I'm not sure if we're going to have a guest next week. So
yeah,
it's good. He's a lovely guy, isn't he? I hope it works out well.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's a big risk, to sort of dilute your own, or sell your own shares in your own business that you've really struggled to create and build and that sort of thing, and all of a sudden make your employees shareholders. It's a real leap of faith.
Yeah.
It's a real leap of faith. It's amazing. And I really hope it goes really well for Ben, Maria and the Bridge Road team.
Yes, likewise. Why don't we just go through a couple of Indies results, since this won't really be news next week?
Yeah, go on then.
So Blasta won champion beer, which is awesome.
Mm.
Those guys have been crushing it. They're really switched on, those guys. They're doing a really good job. Stomping Ground won champion large brewery. They've also been doing really well.
Stumpo is good, make good beers.
Moffat
good team
Beach
there too.
Moffat Beach win every award every time.
Always. It's amazing. They do so well. And really happy for Matty, Shaz and the team. They're just such a great bunch of people. The beers are excellent, and you got to think about this as well from a brewer's perspective. That brewery where those beers came out of, it's less than 12 months old. And the first 12 months of owning after you commission a brewery is shit. You're dialing everything in, beers going down the drain, you're putting your systems in place and all that sort of stuff. If you can pull out some awards and even some trophies in your first 12 months, just phenomenal. Same goes for Madocke as well.
Yeah, well, I think Moffat might have won. What was the last one they won? Did they win the Queensland trophy as well? They
just consistently do really well.
Only months after they'd commissioned it. So
yeah, that's right. Maddock
Yeah.
did very well. I mean, they pulled some beers that their beers come from out of their old brewery because their new brewery only just got commissioned. But 2 gold medals and 2 silvers, and it's an amazing result. And Jimmy and Annalise have just done a great job with the new venue. I was there yesterday, and beers are awesome.
Yeah, they did really well. Precinct got a gold medal as well, which was cool.
Yep.
Jazza there, and so did I think Cuzzy up at Easy Times when we.
Cuzzy got a gold medal for I think it was one of his sour peach sour, I think it was, or something.
Yes, very
Queensland's doing all right.
Awesome. All right, let's leave it there. That was good.
Good chat, mate.
Next week, well, I've had this in the list of things to talk about for a while. Is NFT beers. And today Budweiser put an announcement out saying that they've just launched an NFT beer, so they've beaten me to it. But maybe we can talk about that next week.
I need to find out what an NFT is.
Okay, all right. We'll talk about that next week, unless something else comes up that's more pressing. But this is the 3rd week in a row we've shelved it.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right.
See you next week, mate.
All right, get well soon. I hope your leg gets sorted out and you're good to go.
Thanks, mate. I'll try not to bleed everywhere, and not look like Dexter.
Yeah, American Psycho.
Yeah.
All right. See you, mate.
Cheers, legends.